Welcome back to the Gardening with Tom and Gayle. We've been talking about a lot of different things, including bugs and some of the problems that we have out there. But we've tried to focus at the beginning of the hour about the beauties that are around us and the joy of watching a hummingbird. If you have any questions about gardening, whether it's literally in the garden or whether it's a problem with the lawn, difficulties with some of the flowers you may be growing around the yard, even planters that you might have, give us a call. We'll try to catch that question. It's 547-8726. It's 547-8726. We'll just address your question right here on the air. Well, Gail, we were talking about the fact that shade is going to be an increasingly joyous thing as we enter the heat of the summer. And there are a lot of questions about shade and shade flowers and shade stuff, so let's cover that.
When somebody comes in and they've just built a new house or something, and they're kind of at odds about, what to do, I think it's important to establish some of the larger elements of that garden landscape and think about what you're going to be doing out there. Are you going to want to spend time out on the back behind the house or something in a shady area? And then pick out some trees. That's one of the first things I like to do is put trees in the landscape and place them so they're going to maybe cast a little bit of shade on the house, reduce your energy costs. They can make a huge difference.
Yeah, if you like to spend some time in the outdoor, on the deck or on the patio, and then having a nice shade area over that is really critical in the afternoon. So it shouldn't be just centered. It should be considered where it's going to be giving the best location. And a lot of people who have established homes really enjoy the fact that the shade trees really also reduce the cost of air conditioning. Again, keeping the house shaded really dramatically reduces the heat load, so it really saves us a huge amount of money.
Plus, they're out there making oxygen for everybody.
Indeed. But they also are not only cleaning the air, but they're evaporating moisture. And so that's one of the reasons why we like to be out there, because it really is dramatically cooler as well as shady. And, of course, again, the difference of the oxygen level, perhaps. But regardless, we just like to be out there. And so there's a constant question about one of the best shade tree. And we're usually talking about fast-growing shade trees, something that grows more than 1.5 or 2 feet a year. And so there's quite a number of them that are really good shade trees. And some of them have really strong advantages, and some of them have some considerations that you might consider that are kind of negative.
Well, I like the maples, probably because they have a nice classic shape. They are fast growing. And then in the fall, you usually get these brilliant color changes that are so pretty to watch.
A lot of people really enjoy that fall color. But they also produce little seedlings. And those little, when we're in second and third grade, we love the helicopters that come flying out of these trees without understanding those little helicopters land in the lawn, and they come up in your yard, they come up in your neighbor's yard, and sometimes your neighbor's not quite as excited about that as you are. Likewise, we find that some of them are kind of a nice, delicious tree full of nutrition, and it's enjoyed by the aphids, and the little bugs that are living up in the maple tree are the ones that exude the honeydew that drips onto your deck, car, sidewalk, whatever. Now, these things can be controlled, and it is not the tree that is doing it, it's the fact that the infestation is actually the cause of this. But those are some of the negative aspects. And there is a beautiful tree that I love called a purple robe locust. Now, this is one of the many blooming trees, but this thing gets up 35 to 40 feet high with maturity, but it has beautiful purple grape clusters of flowers, just like wisteria, that not only blooms during the spring, but periodically through the summer, it fires off another 1 or 2 flowers, and so it's really a delight to see those beautiful plumes of flowers. And because the leaves are compound leaves instead of a big leaf like maple, when the little tiny leaflets actually go through their beautiful golden fall color, then the little leaflets rain down, and the next time you go through with a lawnmower, you also did your fall maintenance.
And not to be confused with locust, there is honey locust. And those are really nice trees. There are a couple major kinds. There's a smaller one called sunburst, which is comes out very yellow in the spring, and then the leaves kind of settle down to a lighter green. Again, it's got a compound leaf, so the little leaflets are pretty small when they fall off in the fall. And then there's the taller shade master type honey locust, which is very good.
And because these trees are actually prairie trees by heritage, they branch out and grow wide very quickly compared to, say, some of the forest trees like maples that tend to go up when they're young and then fill out with age. So this may be a consideration as well. Another one I love that happens to be blooming right now is called linden. And lindens are really kind of a classic. They have a modified leaf that actually has been formed into the flower. But, oh, it's the delightful scent that they give off right now that really is an extra plus. Now, fortunately, they don't have any seeds like the maple do, but they still flower and are really a delight. But they grow just as fast or faster than the maple, but they have smaller leaves and deep roots. So they really are very, very successful, but seem to have actually no insect problems. So it's another good consideration.
And then there's the good old globe willow, which is, one of the smaller willows out there.
Yeah, and not to be confused with the weeping type, whether it's yellow golden weeping or green weeping or the bizarre corkscrew willow. These are imports from Japan, and they were brought in for their beauty. But nobody realized that they also had the problem of surface roots. They have really major insect problems. They are constantly being afflicted with disease problems. And the globe willow, in sharp contrast, is the only North American willow tree that actually evolved in the central deserts, the southwest deserts. And so these are very, very durable trees, but they still have the potential of growing really fast. They have the classic long willow leaf, and one of the earliest to leaf out in the spring and one of the last to lose the leaves in the fall. So they really give you great shade, but they are the fastest growing of all the fast growing shade trees. So these are something that you really should keep in mind as far as a possibility. But we ought to talk about the other beautiful things that can be enjoyed in shady areas too, if you're going to be spending some time out there.
Especially once you've got your shade trees, you need your plants that'll grow in the shade.
There we go. Just seems a logical extension to have the beauty that you have, the shade that's created by it.
Well, we usually like to have a little place out there where we can sit in the evening or whatever, enjoy some the nice quiet of outdoor and watch some of the little wildlife out there.
I was thinking about a hunk of barbecue ribs, but the hostas are probably one of the most widely used plants for shade perennials that come back year after year. And they come in various different types of colors and sizes. We have little tiny leafed of the hush puppies to the great big huge leaf of some and substance.
There you go. Tongue twister.
But they have varieties that have yellow stripes, other varieties that have white stripes. They're going to be blooming here in a few more weeks, so they actually also flower. So they are really an easy one to enjoy.
There's one called delphinium that's beautiful, too, for the shade. Kind of a classic. I don't know if I'd call it a spike, but spire, perfect. And they come in some of the most gorgeous blue tones, although that's not the only color they come in, but the blues in delphiniums are spectacular, I think.
Indeed. And the lacy substance of ferns is sometimes overlooked. And there's different type of ferns. Some are small and some are quite large. So if you want something that's going to be really carefree and disease and insect-free, the ferns might be a good consideration for a shady location that has lots of opportunity. And they are really a delight to enjoy.
One of the plants that I like for the shade actually will do, most of them will do fine in the sun as well, but this is the euchera, and they've done so much work on the different leaf colors of these. The range of colors of the leaves is amazing. The flowers are very delicate and airy, to put it euphemistically, but it's more for the foliage that we grow these plants.
Yeah, my grandma used to really enjoy the coral bells, as she called it, because the coral bells had these beautiful red flowers that grew in the shade. But we have found varieties that with working in just an incredible array of colored leaves, from the dark, almost obsidian color, all the way to the beautiful kind of orange brandy of Southern Comfort. It's just the fact that these leaves are actually add color and texture in the shade that just can't be duplicated in any other way.
And it's kind of a mounding plant, which makes it useful in many spots.
but the colored ones don't have any showy flowers like the old coral bells did, but they still have a very significant spot in any shade landscape. One of the other ones that I enjoy that flowers for a prolonged period of time is a stilbe, and some people still call it false spirea, but the stilbe is really a nice, I guess you call it foxtail of flowers. They come in red and pink and white and kind of a bluish tone. So they have a nice, again, very ferny, delicate leaf that could be really appreciated in its own beauty.
And most of the campanulas do very well in the shade, particularly the taller bellflower type ones that are so pretty and blooming right now. There's some that have a little nodding sort of a bell that hangs down, and campanula's good plant for the shade.
And not because they have now finished blooming, we kind of forget the fact that there are other things, including columbine, that bloom abundantly in the early spring, dianthus that also really love the shade, and of course the incredible bleeding hearts that are so enjoyed by so many people. So there are lots of perennials that are an investment in your property that come back year after year that really work nicely in the shade and just adds so much enjoyment and delight to any kind of shady area. And there are many, many more shade-loving flowers, but we're going to have to take a break, and we'll talk about those in just a moment.